Hi, this is Jim Peters with Peters Principles. You never know who you're going to see on Peters Principles, and tonight we have Dave Ouellette, my good friend and the driving force behind whatever is going on in the acre. Dave, how you doing?
Very good. I'm just shutting off my phone and make sure it doesn't go off accidentally. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me back, Peter. Jim Peters. I'm sorry. I had
Sorry, it happens all the time.
James.
Happens
Thank
all
you.
the time. Yeah, no, it's great having you back. So I guess my biggest question is what's going on in the acre this Christmas, because you guys usually have something once a night. So
Yeah, so we just came off of a great summer music series at the North Common.
Right.
We had bands up there. We had movies. We even played Casablanca. We had the movie Casablanca. We had some good crowds. And that was thanks to the Mass Cultural Council and the Lowell Cultural Council. Now that we're getting into the winter months, we usually do our annual thank you to all the people in the acre community that want to come out. So we meet at Charlie's Cafe on Cabot Street. Mm-hmm. So that we always meet the third Wednesday of every month. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe the third Wednesday is the 20th of this month at 6 o'clock, and we'll be meeting at Charlie's Cafe. And the action group, we put out a small spread, and everybody's welcome to come over and have a tonic, a drink, or any type of social. And we only stay there for a couple of hours, and we still have our first at the meeting at the beginning, though. So everybody shows up. We do have a board meeting, and we talk about the acre and the issues at hand. And then as soon as that's over, that's when we open up the food, and we have a couple of socials, and we talk. And January's meeting is at Renaissance on the River, the apartments over there.
okay.
That's the third Wednesday of the month at 6 o'clock. So again, everybody's invited. It's your acre. It's what we decide as a group, what happens in our acre, and it's usually very well attended, and we have a lot of great people in the acre. And the acre is one of the best neighborhoods. I may be a little prejudiced to that fact, but I love the acre. I was born here, grew up here, and always loved it, and refused to leave, and instead stood up and helped it along.
Yes, you did. I have always been impressed with the alley that you fixed up. What's the name of that?
That was, it used to be Decatur Alley, and now we call it Decatur Way, and Way stands now for Water, Art, and You. It was a great project, and at least about 400 people over a 5-year period come out and help the action group. And the last stretch of that was the wastewater utility in Lowell. They come in and they needed to do the water and sewer separation. Mm-hmm. And when they come through, they jumped onto the great idea of making the walkway a beautiful art and poetry corridor, right. Which we had already started. We already trimmed out the trees. We already done a lot of the work there. We already had the artwork set to go, and we just had to find a way to do the floor and do some of the walls and the fencing. And when they came through during that water and sewer separation, the city graciously and the project put in a nice concrete sidewalk that actually absorbs the water, so that way it's just they used all the different types of water techniques to water conservation. At the House of Hope there, they put water barrels in to water their plants, and so it was a good last partnership. Mm-hmm. So we had so many different partnerships along the way, and then that one, it would not have been able to be as gorgeous as it is and as great as it is without the actual finishing touches and all the work put in by the wastewater utility, Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility Plant. Yeah, it's a long words, but they are maybe long words, but they're great guys and great people.
Well, they don't have the touch for acronyms as you two do, though.
Yes, not like action. Yes,
yeah, right,
it should be
right,
something that's helpful.
Not like action, not like.
So we have ACTION, which stands for, when we started the Acre Neighborhood Group 9 years ago, we called it ACTION, Acre Coalition to Improve Our Neighborhood, and that stands for, if you have a problem, come to ACTION. And we will stick with you, and we'll see what we can do to help you along. So that's always, and I know you've always loved that acronym.
I love that one. That one just gets to me. And the fact that it wasn't taken up by anybody else in the city was something too.
Another great one, yes.
Another great one, yeah.
And that Decatur Way project, all 26 schools in the city and Lowell High School proudly has their 2016 class project, which is a 4-foot 8-foot by 20-foot mural that is there. The kids did an absolutely superb job. So if you haven't had a chance, oh yeah, the artwork in that alley has probably 50 pictures from the community, probably about 12 poems. Paul Marion's poems are out there, and also my great friend Paul Anu, which his pen name is Augustus Clayton, one of the greatest living poets of our times right now, lives right here in Lowell. He has probably, say a good about 10 poems in that thing about all the different subjects, a lot of veterans poems and stuff. So as you go through the walkway, there's pictures from every ethnic group that there is, the Greek church, the Latino group, the Asian community. I'll stop naming because I might miss somebody. So, so everybody's art is up there because all the projects that Action do, we make it about everybody. It's always about our full community together. And then, like I said, over 40 between organizations and people came to help. So if you first walk up Decatur Way and you come in from the UMass Lowell side, which is just a little bit past Cody's Market, there's a beautiful atrium on your way in, and trellis work. And right at the end of it, it says thank you, and it has the name of all the groups and people who were involved in this. So if you have a chance, please take a walk down Decatur Way, look at some gorgeous art and poetry from from parts of the community. And that area was a high crime area full of drugs and crime.
I was going to ask you about that.
That's how we started this, because it was a 1,200-foot overgrown alley that right in the center of it, when we started cutting down the trees and we made it through, there was a queen-size mattress with over 100 needles around it. And that was actually a shooting gallery right there, and that was only probably 50 feet from the House of Hope. And also there was cuts in the fence, so when the college kids or just anybody in the community would walk down Merrimack Market, they could get robbed, and then they would disappear in that woods. I mean, it was thick woods. You could not see more than 4, 5, 6 feet into it. So I just went in with friends. We took chainsaws, and we just started cutting the trees down. And we cut the brush, and we removed it, and then we had piles. I called up the city, and they would come down with their chipper. And
did you tell the city that this was city property that you were working on?
At the time, it was owned to the center of the road by each side of whoever's apartments it was. It was not city-owned property at the time.
Oh, it wasn't?
Nope. So to make this project absolutely work, we did put a thing forward with the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility Plant that we took up that whole walkway in the middle and made it city property, so that way we could do what we needed to do, and that would stay open and forever now, and it wouldn't be just taken back and overgrown again.
Oh, good. So there's a police presence.
Yes, right at the other end of it actually is a UMass police station, which we have a terrific working partnership with UMass. Matter of fact, our last meeting was at the beautiful Allen House, and that's over there at the North Campus, South Campus.
South Campus.
South Campus.
Allen House is at the South Campus.
South Campus. And gracious host was Patty Coffrey and DJ Cochran. They were always some great hosts. And the chief of police for UMass Lowell was there, and also Chief Taylor, our superintendent, was there. So we had the two chiefs plus some other officers to talk about different things that were happening in our community. It was, and then we had probably about 12, 14 other people from the area show up. So it was another great meeting, and the Allen House was a gorgeous place.
Oh, the Allen House is fantastic.
And that's one great thing about our action meetings is we travel. So every month you get to go see different places. So the month before that, we were at the Franco-American School. I know that's close to your heart also.
That I wanted to go to, and I didn't have the chance. I got sick that night, so.
Well, I'll bring you for a private tour whenever you're interested.
Okay.
Brian McGowan, TMI, that's running it, and it's also in partnership with the CBA, also president of the Coalition for a Better Acre. So I'll be able to take you for a private tour, and you'll really enjoy it.
I will really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. So what does the Ouellette family do for Christmas?
Well, now it's more interesting than ever before. I just had another grandson, so now I'm up to 4 grandchildren.
You have 4 grandchildren?
I have 4 grandchildren, which is absolutely terrific. And so I told my 3 boys, I have 3 boys, David, Kevin, and Keith. I said now that I'm all set with them because they were just a means to the end. I needed to have my grandchildren.
Right.
So I had to have kids to get to my grandchildren. No, only kidding. I love my boys. But so right now I have two grandsons and two granddaughters, and they're absolutely wonderful. So Christmas brings on a whole new meaning when the door opens and they.
When you have grandchildren.
Yeah, and the arms go up and they go Pepe. Well, that's French, so I'm Pepe and Meme. So what is your?
Oh, I'm Grandpa.
Your grandpa, yeah. So each family has a different thing, but there's nothing like that smiling face when you see them come true and the little hands go out. So so we have Christmas at my house. Because for years I did everything at my house, all the holidays. I cooked the turkey, cooked the Christmas meal and the Easter meal. But now, I'm sorry to say, most of the older relatives have passed on. So I'm actually the old fogey now, and then, which they could call the patriarch, gives you like a special name, but it's not. It just means you're the oldest one of the clan now. So that's pretty much it.
That's true.
So I told him, I said, okay, it's time for you to build your families and your traditions up. So my oldest son, I told him, I says, from now on, you have Thanksgiving. Meme and Pepe have Christmas because I want the grandchildren coming over. And then my middle one, he has Easter. And the youngest one, he's 31. He's still enjoying life. He's doing very well. And so he doesn't have his own house yet. The other two owns their house.
My youngest one is 33, I think. My youngest son. My youngest daughter is 26. But having grandchildren just is a
it's
fantastic thing, and there are no cuter grandchildren than yours.
Correct.
Right.
We all got the cutest grandchildren there is alive.
Yeah, that's why they were doing a radio spot on WCVB. No, it's on a radio station. I forget what the radio station was, but they were doing a radio spot on one of the stations, and they said, we're going to have the cutest baby in Boston project. And I thought, how are they ever going to do that? And I saw the baby on the news. I thought, she's cute, but
nothing like ours, right?
Not like mine.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, it's just mine has huge eyes, and they're all blue, and his mother's eyes are brown, so I assumed that he'd have brown eyes, but he doesn't. And
their smile, of course, they have the cutest smile.
The smile just melts you.
Yeah.
The smile just melts you. But you're one of the most unique people I know in that you have created a game.
Oh, yes.
That did quite well in sales when it came out.
Back when I was a student at Lowell High School, Patrick Mogan was one of my mentors in life. He's the one that instilled my love for our community and the city of Lowell. So I had the idea of the national park was just coming back then. It was just the state park.
Right.
And when I first started working on it, so that would have to be 1976, 75, 76. I was 15, 16 years old. So I started with the idea of a board game of Lowell, and that you would travel on the red bricks. The only resemblance it has to Monopoly is that it's actually a board game. The rest of it, there's no houses and no nothing. You're actually touring Lowell on the red bricks of Lowell, and you're going around to collect souvenirs. As a matter of fact, they brought one with me.
Oh, wait.
So here it is. This was put out in 1979 in the city of Lowell, and I had it on all the gift shops. And when it turned to a national park, they carried it right here in this building, and they ordered hundreds at a time, and they were just flying out. I sold over 2,500 copies.
Yeah.
It was very good, and then life got in the way. My children were getting older. I was working out of town. I always did heavy construction.
Right.
I was a laborer, local 429 for many years. So you travel to different spots, and then I was Armin LeMay's site foreman for many years also. After that, so with all the traveling and the other stuff, life got in the way to do all my fun stuff that I thought like this. But now that I'm older, I'm actually coming out with a different edition or a different game. It's going to be called Awesomeness is Lowell. And it's going to feature a lot of the fun stuff we have in Lowell.
Yeah.
Folk Festival, National Park, the Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race. It's going to have different stores and businesses on it this time too. Because the first time, so here it is. And So it came out in 1979. I had a little corporation called Ouellette Enterprises, and it actually came out in 1981. That's when I got the patent. I have the U.S. patent on it, too, that I didn't really need a patent, but while I was experimenting with things, I experimented on copyrights and patents also.
It looks like a mixture of about 25 games that I've seen.
Yes. So you would start off as home as a tourist, and you would come to Lowell. You'd go to the National Park headquarters, and then you would tour Lowell. And as you toured Lowell, you take the James B. Francis on this side, and you could take either this road or this road, but you travel on the red bricks of Lowell. You'd land here. Back then, they had the Whistler train,
Right.
and you would take the train to the other side. And so, but while you were doing it, on the white spots are all historic facts. The old post office was 1893. That's on Appleton Street.
Right.
The old City Hall was built in 1830. That's Enterprise Bank. It's on Merrimack Street.
Right.
The old Worthen. So by playing this, you would learn 26 historic facts of the city. But as you were going around touring it, you would have to try to collect a souvenir. So, for example, if you landed on the county jail right here, the souvenir was $15. So this would be all, they would be cut up and they would be sitting up. These just fold and they come off. So there's the souvenirs on the back. Which way am I facing it? So these are the souvenirs on the back. And you would, so you would pay for it and you'd take this one. In this case, the county jail was a key. And City Hall would be a legal document. So once you collected, the whole idea was you'd have to collect all 6 souvenirs. Once you collected the 6 souvenirs, you supposedly completed your trip of Lowell. But as you were going around, if you landed on the word Lowell, like right here,
Right.
you would pick a Lowell card. And on the back would be different things. You left your books on the Whistler train, go to the train stop. Go to the National Park headquarters. Go to the old market house. You lost a souvenir card, return one souvenir to the place where you bought it. So there'd be all kinds of different turmoils or good things that could happen. So that would just add more excitement to it. And then here's the Lowell Sun article. I was very young at that time, as you can see.
Yeah, you still got hair, but you've got a lot of hair in that one.
Yes, and so they did a nice story for me way back then about the board game of Lowell, and it was written by Ian Howe.
Oh, was it?
Yes, I just realized. I just
Okay.
looking at it. So it was written by Ian Howe. So so now we're coming up with a different one. It's not going to look like this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put Decatur Way on this one.
Are you?
Yes, Decatur Way is going to be right here in the middle. So if you've already collected these, you can actually
have to put Decatur Way in.
you can actually take the cut through, and there'll be some art and maybe a little poetry going along the Decatur Way. So to make it more interesting. So, and there'll be some local businesses and shops on it because it is a national urban park. So the things that I haven't added the first time, there was no business and no thing. So we're in the intercity. So I'm adding a few of the downtown enterprises along with the game this time. So it should be out if everything goes right. I'm planning on going into print in maybe March the latest, and it'll be out this summer.
Oh, good.
So look for it at a store near you. And also the national parks, I've already talked to the Park Service. They will be carrying it down below again in the building. And then I have a lot of local interest in different places that want to carry the game also. So the name of it will be Awesomeness is Lowell.
Well, I have a book coming out on the history of Lowell's educational system, which I've been working on for years. And I'm not sure when that's coming out. It's close to it, but it's still got some things to perk up, and it's exciting though. It's exciting when something you do gets published.
Yes,
Whether it's a game or a poem. Speaking of poems, I wanted to talk to you about Paul Lanoux. Paul was the person who was at the Lowell Motorboat Club when we held the meeting at the Lowell Motorboat Club.
Yes.
Yes, and Paul was there because you were sick.
Yes, something had come up with my yes, something had come up. I couldn't make it. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he was a gracious host.
Yes, he's a very good person. He has a great heart, and all the projects we've done, he's been part of them from the beginning to end. Also, he volunteers a lot and loves the acre. He's a graduate of Lowell High. He's in actually the Lowell High School Hall of Fame for wrestling and football.
Is he?
Yes, He was just, you know how he's just a big...
Well, yeah, he's a big guy.
He just joined the wrestling team and was just a natural. He went all the way to the championships, and he was also on the champion. I don't know what years these are. He would. He's also on the year where the Lowell High School won everything in football also.
Okay, that'd be 71, because that's when I was on it. But I didn't play. I was a person who warmed the bench. Oh. That was my official title, the warmer of the bench. But it was fun being on the team and the team doing so well and playing the game, watching the games and stuff like that. That was fun. So it was. I'd just like to say about Paul Anu that I think his poetry is absolutely fantastic, and
it's absolutely incredible.
I'm deeply into poetry. I've got probably 100 books of it at home, and I know of all the different types, and Paul's stuff is really engaging and good.
He probably has, every one of our meetings, he writes a poem for the place and the guests who we were. So Marty Meehan has one, Chancellor Maloney has one, Kevin has one when he was a state rep, and then besides all the places and everywhere, if we visited the place, we leave, and we had one of our last meetings a couple of meetings ago, we were at the Mogan Cultural Center. Right. It's just barely outside the line of the acre, but I had to go there because Patrick was one of my mentors, like I said, and a very good friend. So I always wanted to have a meeting there, and so Paul hit it right on the target. His poem for Patrick Mogan was incredible. As a matter of fact, they have it hanging at the Mogan Cultural Center now.
Oh, do they?
So next time you go in, you'll have to see it. Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to read it. I didn't realize you wrote a poem for the Mogan Cultural Center.
And when you said write a book too, I'm actually working on something like that. So when we did remember the amphitheater at the North Common? Yes. Well, when I started, one of the reasons why I took that back and as a community thing, and with the help of quite a few people, it was always a gang infested. They used to have fights there. They used to have everything because it was abandoned almost for 10, 12 years. Right. The concrete was broken. The lights were out. Everything was gone out of there. And it was just loaded with needles and more needles, and constantly just picking up needles over there. So I remember in the 70s when they first put that in, the music that came and the entertainment that came. So with all the problems we were having in the acre, that's when Chief LaValle was there. One day at one of the meetings, he called after some shooting, said, well, one of the problems is we need somebody loud and vocal for the neighborhood, and that's what got me to start action. So I knew one of the things I had to bring back right away was that amphitheater. Right. So I went down to with CBA. I went down to NeighborWorks America, down to Louisville, Kentucky. Came back with a grant for $2,500. Went to the manager at the time and asked him if it's all right if I touch the amphitheater and renew it and this. And of course, the answer was yes. So with the help with the city's Parks and Recreation, Tommy Bellegarde was absolutely terrific. And about 40, 50 other people in the cool organization, we brought it back. So this summer, I'm cleaning up, and so we're out there. There was a bit of litter and everything else, and every time I go up there now, because we've transferred it with the help of the whole community, right. I clean up before we have movies. I clean up this, and I picked up a lot of like little wrappers and popsicle stick after popsicle stick, and I said to myself under my breath, I said, I can't believe, I says, the number of popsicle sticks, this is awful, and then it made me smile. 9 years ago, I was picking up needles. Needles, popsicle sticks. So the name of my book that I'm going to have come out is the Needles to Popsicle Stick, The Transformation of a Neighborhood. That's good. Yeah. You're good on titles. I've got to get you to do my title. So I'm terrible on titles. But yeah. So that was a changing moment when I said that to myself. I was aggravated. I was actually mistakenly aggravated that I was picking up popsicle sticks, and it hit me like a rock. It hit you that this is a better thing than what we had before. Yes. Yeah, we're. I lost my train of thought. That's okay. Anyway, no. I just like to say that Paul Anu is I think is one of the best poets that I've read, and I've read hundreds, right. And I don't have any desire. I wrote a couple of poems for my kids when they were babies, but I don't have any desire to write poems myself. I just like to read them. So I've read quite a few, and I like Paul's a lot. He's hanging in a Whistler house.
Is he?
A museum. Yep, they have his poems hanging in there. If you can say the place in the acre, he has a poem, Gender Credit Union. If you can think of a place, there's a poem hanging there. The Lowell House.
What about the Greek American School?
The Greek American School, yes, they're
Does he-
hanging
does
in
he have
there.
one?
Both Greek churches, there's poems hanging in there also.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just very prolific. He came to me when I first met him. And he picks up this big book and he puts the big book on the table. And he says, "You know what this book is?" And I said, "No, not really. It looks like a thesaurus." He says, "It's exactly what it is." He said, "A thesaurus, that's what kids need to start using now."
Correct.
And he was just like so wrapped up with the thesaurus. For the people who don't know what a thesaurus is, it's a book that shows you names and then similar names for other objects
In the same category,
in
yes.
the same category, right? And
Which is a highly unused book nowadays, which gives you the...
I use it mine all the time,
Yes.
but I'm an old coot,
Right.
so
And me too.
yeah.
I used to love my thesaurus because we get in the habit of using the same words over and over again when there's no need to do that. There's plenty of words out there.
Yes, there's plenty of
Matter
words
fact,
out there.
they make new ones every year.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I love his poetry, and I love to mentioning him when I see you, whether it's on City
his-
Life or here. Or,
His pen name is Augustus Clayton.
yes, Augustus Clayton.
Yes, Augustus Clayton is his pen name, and he's like one of those quiet ones. He's all over the place, but hardly ever heard about, or read about. Like you just don't hear his name, but his poems are absolutely everywhere.
Well,
It's amazing how.
I've got a couple of his poetry books at home, and it's
Yeah, he's written a couple.
it's inspiring.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
Maybe when I come back next time, we can come back as a team because he's my unofficial vice president of action.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, like I said, he was very good at the Low Motorboat Club, and I just felt badly because he felt like standing up the whole time. So he just wanted to keep an eye on what we were doing. So, but we had a very nice meeting, and it worked out well. And I appreciate you getting the people to the Motorboat Club. And
yeah, I was sorry I missed it that night, and the body just didn't want me to be there, or didn't allow me to be there. Put it that way.
yeah, it's
Happens as we get older.
as we get older, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember being a certain age, and all of a sudden I was being yanked into the Leahy Clinic for ever, all the time. So that's just one of those things that happens. Well, we've run out of time.
Always a
Thank
pleasure,
you.
James. Always
you.
a pleasure, whether it be here or City Life. It's always a great talking with you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I enjoy it. This has been Jim Peters with Peters Principles, and just in case you didn't know, the startup on Peters Principles, where we show the falls and you hear the falls crashing, I call it the music of the Merrimack. So that's what it's supposed to. We're going to put a caption on it and say "Music of the Merrimack" for the falls, but we haven't done that yet. But I call it the music of the Merrimack.
Very good.
So, thank you very much for being with us, and we'll see you next time.